been looking for. And that day is cost cap results. All right. Many of us have been asking where, when, how, what, who, how much of anything of the cost cap results are going to come out. And it seems like we've got a pretty much general answer. All right. So it seems that at this point, all 10 teams subsequently are issued certificates of compliance. This would mean that all 10 teams are underneath the cost cap for 2022 reporting right now in the reporting year of 2022, results coming out 2023, which means next season we will find out what has happened in 2023. As we know, the, how should I say it? The cost cap dropped $5 million. Okay. So, we're going to see what happens. Now, I know a bunch of people definitely are probably considering the situation. And I know there's going to be plenty of people saying that this may indeed be foul play. You don't really believe it. The FIA and Formula One weren't transparent through this process. You know, last season we heard plenty of news or plenty of quotes and statements as to where they were. Then we heard about teams that had possibly breached, and then come to find out those teams that we heard possibly breached, as well as one of the squeakiest wheels out there being Red Bull, talking about other teams breaching, in fact, and breached themselves. McLaren was good. Mercedes was good. Aston Martin was not. And Williams was not. Okay, so at least those teams. Now, of course, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is, well, even if they didn't breach this season, they breached the last time, and you don't feel like the penalty was fit the crime. What's going on, Galacticus? What's up, Blue Diva? Mary Bean, I see y'all in here. Lord Chaos, Puncture Ball, what's going on? So, no. I'm completely where I want to be. That 2023, all right, because that's when even though it's a 2022 cost cap season, is 2023 when the reports come out. So I don't mean 2023 cost cap reporting. I mean 2023 is when they're unveiling the results of 2022. But I'm glad you asked that, because several people will, hit on all that. But what I'm saying is in 2023, we're talking about the cost cap results as of right now. All right, so that's what I mean. But thanks for asking that question, because there'll be plenty of haters in talking about, oh, it's not 20. Yeah, man, it's whatever, formality, whatever the case is. But yeah, we're finding out in 2023 about 2022. And then in 2024, we'll find out what they did in 2023. So as you see right there on my hot board, it says right there under 2022 cost cap, all 10 teams. So that is what's going on right now. But let's go ahead and talk about something real quick. As we see right here, it says, following the submissions for 2022, the FIA reviewed all reporting documentation submitted by each of the 10 teams and has subsequently issued certificates of compliance to all. Now, I definitely would like a bit more transparency. I know some people say, well, they don't have to be transparent with you. That's right, they don't. But at some point in time, they're going to ask us, like they've asked us several times, to trust them. They're going to ask teams and drivers to trust in the process, to believe what we tell you. Well, part of getting some of that belief in what you're going to say is being transparent about what you may or may not find. And I'm going to tell you this. I legitimately was asked this question by somebody who does not watch Formula One as much as I do. They pretty much may ask me about it in passing. And when they heard me talking about the cost cap as I was out for coffee and waiting for other situations, they were like, so what happened with Red Bull? Okay, well, that was, last time Red Bull received their punishment, whether people like it or not. But they didn't breach this time? No, well, supposedly they didn't breach. And then their question was, so where are the certificates? Where are the certificates? And with these certificates, should there not be some information as to the other question they asked me? Well, how close were some of these teams to being over? I don't know. right? I have no clue. That's a good question. It's a good question. And this question is asked by somebody who does not watch Formula One as much as I do, but does follow Formula One to a degree. And these are legitimate questions. How close were they? No, they didn't breach, but that's interesting. That's interesting information to know. Like, how close were they to breaching? And if they were that close, why were they close? So this information, not that they have to divulge that, but this is not like driver contracts. All right. These are things that state financially how teams are adhering to the regulations within the financial situations for people to understand, are they getting along and are they cooperating fairly? Well, the answer to that overall is yes, because supposedly it is reported that all 10 teams are under. How close they got to being over is something else. Another thing that may come into question is why did it take this long and why have you been so hush-hush about it? And if people feel, and I'm telling you this because this is a real thing, if people feel that the lack of transparency has caused them to have less appreciation and or respect for the integrity of Formula One and the FIA, you cannot blame them. Because if you were in another situation where it is you were trying to find the truth or find answers and you found out that sources were not transparent and or deceptive, you would have your reservations about believing anything that they would say. So a lot of people have the question, were they trying to clean something up? And is that the reason why they've been so quiet up until now? Because there was more transparency last time and more awareness to us as spectators, fans, watchers of the sport about where they were. And now it's nothing, and now it's something. And then as much as it's something, they pile other things on top of that. Right? This really should have been bigger than it was, because to me, for all 10 teams to be under is an accomplishment that if I were the FIA and Formula One, I would want to boast and brag about, because last time we had 3 teams that breach. 3 teams out of 10 that breached the cost cap. 1 procedurally, which was Williams. Aston Martin, I believe, procedurally and minor. Red Bull blew it out the park by minor, but let's just be for real. $2 million in anybody's race camp is not minor. $2 million can get you a lot of floor development. $2 million, and don't talk to me about a supposed phantom tax credit. Let me be very clear when I say this, because it seems I have a lot of people that want to talk and leave comments like I have no clue of anything. I might not be an expert in finances, because I'm not. I might not have ever worked in a financial department within a corporation, because I haven't. What I do know is I do taxes every damn year. And what I do know is a credit is a group of numbers devised by that organization that says if you've spent this much money, credit or deductions, we will give you that. That deduction and that credit is something that comes out of a calculation and comes from the other direction. It just is on paper. I don't feel that. That credit, that deduction is not something that I'm going to actually see until, it says they're going to charge me less. But the point is, I have to have spent this money, just like in my car bill, because it is attached to my business. I've spent this money in this car bill. I've spent, let's just say, $5,000 in a certain area of this car build. Because I spent $5,000 real money that went into improving this car, you're going to give me a deduction. That does not change the fact that I spent $5,000 to improve this car. Nor does that deduction depreciate the improvement of performance that I put into this car. So stop the cap when you want to try to minimize the breach of Red Bull spending $2 million in American USD by therefore trying to apply tax credits that I have never ever seen substantiated or validated, or another report saying they actually got that tax credit. But regardless of that tax credit, they spent 1.8 million pounds, which is roughly over $2 million in USD, into development and or company catering, whatever the case is. Don't do that. If you're stupid enough to believe that, please don't be stupid enough to try to get me to believe what you believe. Don't do that. But at least this season, it would seem as nobody breached. So I would think that they would be tooting their horn a bit more about this, because to me, as an organization, in doing processes that can be so tedious as to that, that's an accomplishment that I would want to boast and brag about. We had 3 teams out of 10 breach. Coming into this season, we have all 10 teams in conformance. That's an accomplishment. Plenty of you probably thought we weren't going to have that turnaround. Plenty of you thought through the season, while we were being non-transparent about the process, that several teams had breached, maybe even 6, maybe the same 3, definitely probably the same one being Red Bull Racing, which didn't. That's an accomplishment. So why did we not see more transparency? Why are we not seeing more about this? Why are they not coming out more about this? Why not deliver some more information as to the process and what they went into? That's what I would like to see. All right. That is what I would like to see. So here, the review has been an intensive and thorough process, beginning with a detailed analysis of the documentation submitted by the competitors. Okay, so that would mean, James Viles, congratulations. You don't have to take any heat with Williams for a procedural breach, which was really documentation being submitted on time by a third party. Aston Martin, you don't have to worry about all this tax credit and or employee financial money that may or may not count against the books. And Red Bull, definitely you probably did your job. And yeah, but I do think that there should be more transparency with that person asking me those questions. As being somebody who doesn't follow the sport as close as I do, it was really interesting to hear, like, you're concerned about that and you don't even really pay attention to the sport that well. So I know a lot of you are concerned about that or would like to know this information. I don't want to go as far as to call it a concern, but interested, very curious to see a little bit more transparency for this process, because I cannot blame people if they feel like there could be something going on behind the cover, the curtain, that definitely cleans some things up. Because one could say that there is motive for the FIA and Formula One to want to make sure that they have that cleaned up. And there's something else to say, that if your room was dirty just last week to that capacity, right? If your room was dirty as hell last week. I mean, it looked like you couldn't clean up a damn lick. I mean, the room was filthy. Come next week, your room looks like a clean room processing AMD computer chips. There's no way I'm going to say your character changed from that to that this week without some type of implementation that happened. Something took place. Something is wrong here. For you to go to being dirty as a pig to being clean room like medical supplies could be generated in here, I got to wonder what happened in the middle of that progression to be so drastic of a spectrum change. So you can't blame people for wondering about that. Like, hey, like, y'all room was dirty. You had teams breach. You had one team that didn't show up to even participate in the mock so they could understand what was going on. Now this season, we hearing nothing, and then now we hear all 10 teams are great. So it's not wrong for people to think, is there still something kind of maybe not right here? Although factually what has been reported is there's not. I'm saying that personally and opinionated people you cannot fault them for being inquisitive to wonder, how could you go from that all the way to that while it's not being transparent throughout some of this process as you were before, and then expect us to believe that all of that is good. Because as an organization, you may want to do that. Because if, and this is if, I'm saying if people don't hear this, just imagine if Red Bull had breached or did breach again, and they had to put that out. How do you think they would be looking as an organization? One, they're going to be looking like crap. Two, they're going to be under so much extreme pressure as to what are you going to do now, that I don't think that they want to take that pressure. Three, I'm not too sure they want to even impose that type of penalty on Red Bull Racing. If that were the case. Remember, I said if. So furthering on, additionally, there has been an extensive check of any non-F1 activities undertaken by the teams, which comprised multiple on-site visits to team facilities and careful auditing procedures to assess compliance with financial regulations. Blowing it out the park right there, ain't they? Putting a little bit of more. If you made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and you already put your peanut butter and your jelly on, you put it there and you said, you know what? I'm not sure people are going to really think this is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm going to put some jelly on one side, put some more peanut butter on the other side. Then they know it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Good old PB&J. Just seems like a lot of extra to make sure that we feel like in this one little report that they did everything by the book. We made sure to look at every corner under every shaded tree line, and we didn't find any nonconformists. We found no reason to do any corrective actions. Nothing. Okay, good. All right. I'm just saying, seemed like a little bit much, but hey, could be all good. It may indeed be all good. And I'm going to speak to that too, if indeed everything is everything, that this is all accurate, that it is 100% that all teams were under the cost cap legitimately and within good faith, which they use that too. All teams acted in, complied and conformed and were very cooperative in good faith. Thank you for adding that. Then this is good. This is ultimately awesome for the sport. Now, we can say from that point, after the fact, that the team has gained an extreme advantage, that they've no longer added to the extreme advantage that they already created and that they are benefiting from. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that being said? Yeah, it's all good now. Now we can't do anything about the running water that Red Bull already have. Les 430. Let me see what we got right here. Les 430 says, Twitter isn't everything, but I found it funny. One day Red Bull cheats was trending. Next day, no one breached announcement. Hey, Les 430. And thank you very much, YouTube. Sometimes you do things horrible, but now you do things a little bit good. It was easier for me to spot that. Thank you very much, Les 430. Yeah, that is, I can't, if anybody blames you for, I'm going to poll it. I'm going to put a poll in the chat. What's up? Petra says, nah, I don't believe no one breached. What manner of conspiracy is this? Not even 5 cents of Jesus was y'all accounting. Well, if Jesus, what manner of conspiracy is this? Not even 5 cents. Oh, if Jesus was their accountant, Petra, I gotta say, where he at on my tax time? I need good old JC to come on over and do my taxes, because I need some extra, because every year I'm paying out the wazoo. I need to come on over here and do something so I don't have to pay no more. Not in that petrol. That is what I'm talking about. Not even 5 cents over. That is why I would like to know They don't have to tell us everything. We don't need to see an itemized breakdown of parentheses and double bottom lines and single bottom lines and all this other stuff. Why not just give us the ending figure of what each team spent? Show us the certificate, put that on the certificate on some line like, hey, this team gets a certificate. They had a percentage out of 0 to 100. They were within 80%, which means 10% headroom they had before they met the cost cap and 11% more before they breached, or 10.999% before, whatever they want to say. Give us a figure. Give us some numbers to tell us where these teams were. Hey, Ferrari gets a certificate of conformance for the cost cap of 2022. They were 70% up until the cost cap room. 70%. They had 25% left before they met the cost cap regulations, and then they would have went over. Let us know that. I'm with you, Petra. I'd like to know that. Because if nobody sees the books, you never know if it's really been cooked. And you can start that going. If nobody sees the books, we never know if it's really been cooked. Let us see the final page in the book. Let us see the final number. There's a lot of stuff that could go on in between there. But we're not even asking for that right now. We're just asking, how much did they spend in 2022? To show us how much this team had to spend and invest into their team in order to get that spot in the Constructors' Championship. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not too much information. We ain't even getting that. We're not even getting that. Peen says, I smell a rat. FI opened the book, closed it quick. Did they? Didn't they, though? Didn't they, though? Didn't they? So here's the poll. I'm going to give you some choices just to see, just to have a little fun. Let's see. And we'll even put them in there because we already know, right? So if any team may have breached, who would you think it may have been? And I'm going to tell you that I would say it is Red Bull Racing, but then I'd say not, because they already got theirs, right? They already breached enough to give them that extreme advantage. Whereas this season, they can kind of we got this. We already got so far ahead. We don't have to cheat as much. We can dial it back. We don't need to breach the cost cap this time around. We already breached it enough, and evidently we breached in a very efficient and good way. And now we have the advantage. We don't need to spend all that this time around. Just do some little things here and there to improve on what we got. And if you really think about it and you go, I'll tell you what, I'll go, because I got the book right here. I will go into it. Let's do that, shall we? Let's do that. I got the book right here. 2023. We'll start with Baku. So Baku, Red Bull were on here for 2 updates. Red Bull were on here for 2 updates in Baku. We'll go to Miami. All right, we'll go to Miami right now. We're going to Miami. Let's see what Red Bull. So far, we got 2. Somebody keep count. Somebody in the chat keep count. So far, we got 2 in Baku, right? And this may not even be all of them. So in Miami, we got Red Bull on the books noted for what? No updates. All right. So we're still only at 2. Bahrain, we got Red Bull. Let's see how many we got Red Bull for. We got Williams for a ton. We got Red Bull on the board for 3. So that's 5 total. That's 5 total for 2023 updates. So now we're in Monza. Our most recent Red Bull is on there for 2. So somebody keep count. I think that's 7. That's 7 updates so far. All right. Here we got the British GP. We got Red Bull on the books for 1. On the one update. 1 update for Red Bull. So remember, somebody help me keep count. Then here we are in Canada. We got Red Bull on the books for, let's see how many updates we got Red Bull on here for. 0. I got 0. All right. Quite possible. Maybe I missed some. Maybe I didn't. But right now we're up to 7. And in Austria, Austria, we got Red Bull on the books for 1 update. One update. All right, here we go right here. Here we are in Spain. We got Red Bull on the book for... I got nothing. If you got something, you let me know. And here we are in Saudi. We got Red Bull on the book for 3. So like I said, such an extreme advantage this season. They've literally had to do little of nothing to a car. Meanwhile, teams like Williams, I got AlphaTauri right here for 8 solid updates in one race. 8 solid updates. I got Williams on here for 15 updates. No, yes. Well, actually more than that. No, 15 updates. I got Williams on here for 15 updates. 15 updates. And that's one race. One race. That's 15 and 1 races. You're talking about, if you all got 12 altogether, we're talking about 12 updates within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 accounts that I have right here. So that tells you that I'm even short some. And I got a team on here for 15 just in one. Don't even get me started on McLaren. Hell, they got 6 in this one. And hell, they had 7 in another one. So as I was saying, yeah, Red Bull don't need to breach because they already breached. They already got their extreme advantage. Now they can just do little incremental updates to stay out in front. So that's why I didn't think that they possibly breached. They already had the upper hand. Mary Beanie says, I smell a cover up by the FIA, the hush papers. Peen, I smell a rat. Got that. So yeah, this is why I'm saying that, yeah, I didn't think that Red Bull breached because they already had an extreme advantage they gained. They were punished very minimally according to where a standard should have been set in order for other teams to know. So yeah, I'm going to say this too, though. I still don't doubt that something may also have been done, but there's no proof saying that. There's no proof saying that. But we can say by actions and other things that we've seen done in the light, things that we've seen brought out from the dark, that it's not far-fetched to believe that there quite possibly could be some foul play along the way, since we didn't hear anything and all of a sudden we're just hearing everything and everything's supposed to be A-okay. Can't blame people for considering that. Just can't do it. So I think, but I will say, just me thinking that Red Bull, since they breached before and they gained an extreme advantage, in which has assisted them this season for sure, being the most dominant team and RB19 the most dominant car produced, in order for Max Verstappen and Perez to drive that and to do everything they're doing. They already got what they wanted, and now they don't have to do much to keep it. So it's very funny. They also came up with this whole thing that Adrian Newey was, not part of Red Bull, but a third contract. Well, if that's the case, Adrian Newey, contract your services out to other people on the grid, since you're technically not an employee of that. Although, you got that non-compete clause that they probably had him sign. But if that's the case, let's see when that contract ends. But, we already know Red Bull are going to keep Newey, which they should. If you want to stay on top, you need to keep Newey, because he's the shit. Newey is the shit when it comes to development. I'm just saying. I'm keeping it real. Newey is the shit when it comes to development. Bro is a mastermind. He is a mastermind. Ain't no shade on that at all. So there he goes right there. That guy, he's a mastermind. So anyway, that's what we got. Cost cap results. Everything's supposed to be good. How much you believe of that, I don't know. But if you don't believe it, then just look out and see what may happen. If anything may happen. But it's quite possible that you have to understand money. Okay, money definitely can make good people do things that are less integrity, especially when they're in a group of people that that may be surrounding pressure about that. You got to consider that. So to consider that and to think about that, you never know. But I will say this. We see what we came out with. We see the results. We see what they're reporting. All 10 teams are good. If this is good, then it's good for the sport. If it's not at some point in time and it ever comes out, it'll be horrible for the sport. And we'll also see what happens in a little while, right? We'll also see what happens when things are not as current, time kind of passes. Sometime you also see that information will come out then. But then by then, it's also too late. So you also have to keep that in mind. They have that we can't go back thing. We can't go back and fix that. We can't. It's too long. It's too long ago. You would have had to do it within these days. And we know we didn't tell you that, but it was in the regulations. You just didn't read it. But yeah, I know when you were launching, talking about you wanted to protest and things wasn't right, we should have told you then, well, hey, you got this amount of many days. And we told the audience, hey, if they don't like it, Mercedes, Red Bull, they have this amount of days to do this and this. And, it's a lot of kind of duck dodge and treat, you know what? In the military, you say good thing, treat them like mushrooms, keep them in the dark, feed them shit. Hopefully that's not really what they go by, but sometimes it does seem like that. So we'll see what happens. We're going to be live this weekend for the esports race here on the platform. If you haven't raced with us before, definitely come race with us. Have a good time. Still looking for Sylvia Witt Kelly to get on the grid. I'm waiting to see her hop on the D-pad and make some things happen on those sticks within the grid spot. Definitely want to see that. We'll also be live again Saturday. We're going to have to do the Wolves Den. I am going to set up that Zoom meet so that we can get our family members into the Discord, because I heard they're having a little difficulty some are having difficulty working that out. So I will set up a Zoom meet, and please utilize that. Please come to the Zoom so you can figure out, I can help you figure out Will, Blue Diva, Sylvia Witt, Galactus, Mary, even because she works with the phone, help us. We can all help you figure out where you might be going wrong or where something is wrong, and then try to go from there and see if we can reach out to said resources to find out why this is happening. So we'll see that and we'll go from there. So I really do appreciate you all. I really do hope you all are being safe. Remember, we're going to race this weekend, and also, I'm shipping out more things today. Big shout out to Derwin Hill for winning the poster. Big shout out to Baraka for winning a $50 gift card from Quality Kickback Trivia. And big shout out to Walter Shavers, who has yet to reach out to me for his VIP box. It is waiting for you, sir. Please get with me. Give me your shipping address so I can get that shipped out to you. I did reach out to you via Twitter, sent you a direct message because I found you on there. So I'm doing my best to try to find you and get it to you. If not, it will be on hold here. So definitely let me know. All right, you all take it easy. Y'all be safe. PN, Chris, Blue Diva, 083, Mary, who Galactus, Rambro, I see you, what I'm saying? I see you up in here. Who else we got in here? Only True, I see you up in here as well. Ray, got you. Who else did we have pull up? Who else did we? Lesh 430, got you, of course. Saw you in here. Petra, appreciate you very much. We got some other people in here, I believe. Say what's up to the fam, what's up to the members before I get out here. Musa checking in. You know what I'm saying? It's weird to see Musa checking in. Big shout out to Musa too. So I'm out of here. We will see y'all soon. Peace and love. I'm out. Wolfpack.